Jimmy Butler is apparently available from the Miami Heat. They're exploring trade offers for the player that's been to two NBA finals. There are several players around the NBA that have been basically put on the trading block, saying that if you have the assets, maybe you could acquire one of them. The Denver Nuggets are in a very interesting position as they continue to try to fortify this roster around Nikola Jokic. Are they in position to make a trade? And what are some of the offers that might be out there for them? And how can the Nuggets get better? We're going to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily.
The Denver Nuggets are in a very, very precarious situation. You know, I don't know if you all have had an opportunity to kind of look at and survey the NBA as a whole, but there's a lot of things that are happening that I think are to be looked into. And, you know, Jimmy Butler, just to set up the conversation around Jimmy is not the player that he used to be just a couple regular seasons ago. Jimmy Butler, he was a second team All NBA player. He was actually a really good player for the Miami Heat. He got them to the NBA Finals twice. And then in the NBA Finals, he took down the Milwaukee Bucks when they were the 8th seed. And Jimmy Butler, his best game in that series, he dropped 56 points. 56 points in maybe, I don't even know, one of the 3 best games of the playoffs that year. It could even be higher. There are a lot of upsides to like about Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler, you know, if you read the report, he's given out a list of teams that he would like to go to, apparently. Now, 2 of them in particular in the Western Conference are the Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors. But then you also have apparently the LA Lakers. But if I just kind of look at the Denver situation, so you got the Mavericks, the Lakers, the Houston Rockets, this is Shams, and the Golden State Warriors. And when I think about this situation that they're in, I realize that Jimmy Butler is not having the same kind of caliber year that a lot of folks are used to. And so I think that's where a lot of the hesitancy comes around for Jimmy Butler. And I think there's a very valid question. You know, when I've asked this question on Twitter or X, just about like how would Nuggets fans feel about acquiring Jimmy Butler? I mean, the biggest criticism that I've heard consistently is just the shooting. It's because Jimmy Butler doesn't allow for the Denver Nuggets to really take a step in the right direction in one of the ways they're struggling the most, which is their three-point volume. Their percentages are okay, but it's the fact that they're putting up the least amount of threes in the NBA that's continually been an issue. And if you heard me at all talk about the game versus the Wizards, they were 5 of 21 in that game from the 3-point line, 5 of 19. Jokic made 3 of those. I mean, the Wizards outshot them by 33 points from the 3-point line in that game. That makes it like impossible. And you are going to have a very, very, very hard time in this NBA getting outscored by that much, that consistently from the 3-point line. And that really puts the team in a very precarious situation. And so I definitely understand that. Like, I definitely understand it. I get the fact that people are really concerned and really worried about the fit because of the spacing issues. But if I just kind of just want to lay out an argument here, Jimmy Butler this year is only averaging 19 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal a game. He's averaging a half a block a game. He has a 56% field goal percentage. He's shooting 36% from 3, 79% from the line. He's been one of the more, you know, up and down players, I would say, over the last couple of years in the regular season. Jimmy Butler is just one of those guys that he has a very high ceiling when he is playing at his level. Like when he's playing like Jimmy Butler level basketball, he is a spectacular player. I mean, I've argued multiple seasons. I would say in the 2021-22 year and the 2022-23 year, Jimmy Butler was a top 10 player in the sport. all year. So when you take regular season and playoffs, top 10 player in the NBA. But again, if you look at Jimmy Butler in just a regular season setting, he's one of the more frustrating players that you can imagine running into. Just because his inability to be able to just average like elite level play is the biggest thing that he does. His floor is so much lower than other players that are part of his caliber. Now, some of that is just going to be his age. You know, Jimmy Butler is a little bit older. I believe he's 35, and his birthday, Jimmy Butler's birthday, he will be, Jimmy Butler birthday, September 14th. So he just turned 35. So you're going to play this entire season out with him at 35 years old. And then on top of that, he's going to be looking for a contract extension as well. So there is a lot to not love about where he's positioned, his age, his type of play style, even where he shoots the ball from. But if you just look right now, like Jimmy Butler, like one of the sites that I love to track is EPM. Jimmy Butler this year, he's actually graded out like fairly well. Again, it's not a career year for him, but he's grading out around where Anthony Edwards and Damian Lillard are and Derek White. And as a defender, Jimmy Butler's been a positive defender. He's been a very good offensive player. Again, not like an elite offensive player at all. He's been relatively efficient as well. So, again, Jimmy has a lot of really, really strong things about him. But I do think the criticism of, is he going to be able, could in this deal, like in the created deal, the ostensible deal that they have, you know, if they were to do something like Michael Porter Jr., who, if you look at Mike this year, Mike is having his second best year of his career, I would argue. He's averaging 19, 7, and 3 assists a game. He's averaging a steal, a half a block a game. He's shooting 51% from the field, 39% from the three-point line, 67% from the free throw line, which is just pure concentration. And so he's playing like pretty efficient basketball. And on top of that, since the start of the month, I want to say since the start of October or start of November, Michael Porter Jr. has been averaging over 20 points a game and about 7 rebounds a game, which, again, for your third option is very good. But here's the thing. I think that just where the Nuggets are, they might be in a situation now where they just truly have no other time to wait it out to see if they're going to have some internal development from the rest of the team. And, you know, I'll talk about that more, you know, when we get into the second and third segment as well. But I think that the team right now, if I just give like an honest, just standout perspective on the team, I think that Jokic is arguably, and maybe the reason I'm saying arguably, because you got to win a ring in a lot of people's minds to be able to substantiate this. Jokic is probably having the greatest NBA season in modern NBA history. So the organization went into this whole summer saying that we're going to do internal development, start Christian Brown, elevate Julian Strawther, elevate Peyton Watson, and then we're just going to go from there. You know, I said they need to get Russell Westbrook last year. They brought him in this offseason, and I think he's boded well for the team for the most part. But if you just kind of look at where the team is right now, are the Nuggets in position to hold? Are the Nuggets in position to sit pat? And I don't know. You know, I don't think that they are. And again, I'm going to get into that a little bit more, but I think that's where the framing of whether or not you trade for Jimmy comes from. Jimmy is a little older. Jimmy's going to want a contract extension. Are the Nuggets in position to be able to do that? Or are there more suitable deals in order to get it done? Now, if you look at the Brooklyn Nets have made Dorian Finney and Cameron Johnson available via trade. Those are other options that you have out there to be able to look at. The Chicago Bulls, they have been apparently in the past trying to get off of Zach LaVine, but Zach LaVine's having a very good year. Now, he has a pretty large contract that you're going to have to trade for, and on top of that, he's been injury prone over the course of his career. So there are some downsides. There are some downsides to looking at each one of those propositions. But I do think overall that if the Nuggets are going to be able to position themselves to take advantage of the season that they're getting from the top of their roster, this might be something they have to do. On the other side, y'all, we're going to talk about this. What are some other trade options if you don't like the Jimmy Butler fit? What are some other trade options that are available for them? And also, kind of my perspective on this. That I think we might be at a little bit. We're past the point of waiting, and something probably needs to be done. We're going to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sports app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We'll be right back for more here on Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, we are back for the second segment here at Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swiper. This is your team every day. Y'all, very interesting place, y'all. Make sure we just crossed 8,000 subscribers. We just crossed 8,000 subscribers here on Locked On Nuggets. Shout out to you all for making that happen. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, y'all. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you're listening and watching on the YouTube side. Make sure if you're watching on you're listening on the audio side, Apple iTunes, give us a 5-star review. That way, more and more people can get involved with what we're doing here at Locked On Nuggets. And also, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, y'all. So what are some other options? And why is this moment so important? Why is this moment so important? So based on where I am right now, I do think that the Nuggets are going to have to make a trade. I did say this. I want to say it was last Friday that in order for the Denver Nuggets to get where they need to go and to take advantage of the situation they have in front of them and take advantage of this year for Jokic, they're going to have to make a trade. I did predict that the person that is going to get traded in this scenario is going to be Michael Porter Jr. And it has nothing to do with Michael Porter. It has nothing negative about his game. It has everything to do with the fact that the most tradable asset that makes the most money is going to be Michael Porter Jr. Yes, Brett, Matt Moore's answered this, Ryan's answered this, I've answered this. Because Jamal Murray just signed his deal, he is ineligible to be traded. Aaron Gordon just signed a deal. He is ineligible to be traded. They cannot trade Aaron Gordon. They cannot trade Jamal Murray. The only tradable players they have on the roster, just to go through them all, they're going to be Nikola Jokic, Christian Brown, Michael Porter Jr., Peyton Watson, soon to be Russell Westbrook, Julian Strawther, soon to be Dario Saric, DeAndre Jordan, soon to be, and then Jalen Pickett, Hunter Tyson. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, it's no problem, Brett. Yeah, just for clarification. Yeah, the Nuggets don't have players that they can trade that have a sizable contract, except for Michael Porter Jr. So this is where we are. It's like, what do you do? And again, I love to remind people, because I think it's important to remind people just what you're witnessing. You know, I've been texting in the group chat, and I've asked a couple of people around the league. I've asked some of my contemporaries in this business, do you think that Jokic is having a better season than any of LeBron's peak seasons? And people have outright said to me, he might be having the best start to a season ever. This is the most impressive statistical start in NBA history, what they're telling me. Okay. So if Jokic is averaging 32.3 points per game, 13.6 rebounds, 10.2 assists, 1.8 steals, 0.7 blocks, 56% from the field, 50 from three, 81 from the line, 65 true shooting, then what do? Do you just stand pat and hope? Jamal Murray, who they re-signed, is having another one of his slow starts to the year. Aaron Gordon is a really good player, but he's been in and out of the lineup. Peyton Watson, Christian Brown, Russell Westbrook, they have some good players on the roster. But if Jokic is having this kind of season, and he's 29 years old, and the other part about this for me, y'all, that stresses this point even more, Jokic already has lost prime season because of injuries. He already has lost prime season because of injuries. In 2021, Murray goes down, plays 48 games. Jokic wins his first MVP, 26, 10, and 8. The next year, Murray doesn't play. Porter gets hurt 9 games into the year, 27, 14, and 8. Another MVP season. Everybody comes to the party. Bruce Brown's there. KCP's there. Jamal's there. Michael Porter Jr. is there. Aaron Gordon is there. Everybody's there, and they're at the party ready to lock in. And they win a title, 16-4, and they walk their way to the title. And then last year, the team wins 57 games. Murray has an injury and is not the same player in the playoffs, and they lose in the second round in 7. So we've already had 2021, 21-22, and then now you had the 23-24, and then now we're looking at possibly a 24-25 season of Joker where he doesn't make the NBA Finals because the roster around him is not ready to ball, because the scheme around him is not ready to go. They signed Dario Saric with a player option. He's been unplayable this year. They signed Russell Westbrook with a player option. I think he's been good for the most part. DeAndre Jordan, he's a backup 5, backup 5. He's a good veteran presence, but he has to get playing time. Zeke Naji today got a $32 million deal. He's basically unplayable right now. So they have these roster spots that are taken up by Hunter Tyson and Jalen Pickett and all these other players. They basically have 7.5 to 8 players they can really play. And they're probably missing 2 more players, rotational players they can play. And then on the other end of this, Joker's having this all-time great season where he has to carry offensively in so many different ways while still being able to be a positive defender. And the team, Extran, they are just below the second apron. So they have some flexibility, even though it's very limited. They had the tax MLE available to them, and they gave the entire thing to Saric. And Saric, with a player option, again, has been unplayable. So the question that you're going to have to be able to get to are you as a franchise comfortable with this being the iteration of the team, with him not having, I think, an elite unit around him from 1 to 10, and then going into the playoffs again where he's going to give everything that he has. And then that's that. So that's where the question comes in. Like, what do they do? Do they just sit pat? And I think that's where the philosophical disagreement comes in with me. Do they just sit pat and then just let the core be what it is and then wait until the summer when Murray can be traded or Gordon can be traded? Do they just wait until then to make those moves? Okay, well, what do they do in the meantime? It's the beginning of December. The playoffs are in April. Do they just fight, and then see if they can get to a situation? And again, what is this? Like, what is this? What is this? Why are there so many? And again, y'all must not be from Colorado. Like, again, I want to make it very clear. I'm from Park Hill. Like, I've been a Nuggets supporter. Where is this coming from? Where y'all thinking about trading Joker? That's where I don't understand. Like, where some of this is. Like, y'all have it's like just doomerism. Joker's not going anywhere. That's the point I think people are missing. Like, Joker is the Kobe. He is the Wilt. He is the Kareem. This is his organization. This is his team. The whole point in doing this, and playing the monopoly of the lottery and the draft, The whole point in playing, building a franchise and being a GM and all is to get players like this and then to have them and build around them. That's just the way it works. And if you trade, think about it, you play trade Joker somewhere and then you got to give up 20,000 assets to get them. Where did you go from there? This just doesn't make any sense. So on the other side, we're going to finish this conversation about the Denver Nuggets and about the situation they're looking at right now, trade possibilities, how they can finish this season with going to the NBA Finals and winning if that's still in the cards. Y'all, again, there's a lot to look forward to, I think, for this team, but it's going to take some very, very intentional business and planning with the team. We're going to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. And again, I have seen friends of mine that will literally, they'll sign up with a new deal. They'll tell them, hey, you're getting a free iPad or you're getting a great deal here. You're going to take months off here. Don't have to pay. The next thing you know, they got a $1,500 charge 6 months later. I've seen it. I've watched it happen. So say bye-bye to overpriced wireless plans and jaw-dropping monthly bills and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. A $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on the first 3-month plan only. Speed slower than 40 gigabytes on a limited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Y'all, we'll be right back for more here at Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, we are back for the final third segment here at Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swiper. This is your team every day. We're talking about Denver Nuggets and possibly making an acquisition here to make sure they boost up their season. Y'all, the Denver Nuggets, what do they do? What do they do? Do they sit here and wait and hope for internal development to see if the Denver Nuggets can just get right with Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon and the rest of the roster, or do they make a move? And again, y'all, I'm of the mindset. I'm watching Calvin Booth. Calvin Booth, he's up for a contract extension. Last summer, it felt relatively sure that he was going to get a contract extension. Ramona Shelburne had a nice little article come out that had some very positive spins on Calvin Booth and his time in Denver. I think that he has had a very good start, but ever since that 2022-23 season, you got to just kind of measure people by where they are. He had one season where he was just very good, and then now we're 2 seasons out, and there have just not been really any positive moves that have been made from Calvin Booth. And it's really costing the team. You know, Calvin Booth was walking a very fine line. He wanted to make sure they had young players that they could develop. He wanted to make sure that they had players in-house that they could develop. You know, he said that Peyton Watson was going to be even better version of Bruce Brown, all these other things. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of the things that he's done have just not worked, and it's really been detrimental to the roster. And again, Jamal Murray, y'all, if Jamal Murray gets back to what he was and the early season grind of what he's been doing now, it's just what it is. It's early season grind like it is every year. And he's able to get back to a 21-5-7 number like he did. Well, he was in the last 40 games of the finals year. I want to say he was a 23-4-7 shot crazy from the field for the last 40 games. And again, maybe he can get to that point. Maybe Murray can get there. But because you already lost so many peak years of Joker, to you don't knows, and because of injuries, I just think it's tantamount at this point that you have to do what you can to try to make it work, to try to get a deal, to try to see if you can get someone in-house that can help you. And y'all, whether that's Jimmy Butler, some of my colleagues think the Zach LaVine trade, that's another one. Can the Denver Nuggets part with Michael Porter Jr., with Julian Strawther and Zeke Naji, and they get Zach LaVine, Ayo Dosunmu? Do they give them that 2031 first-round pick, the only first-round pick they have eligible to trade? Is that something they're looking at the possibility of doing? Now, there are some ways that could work. Zach LaVine in the Denver Nuggets uniform, he would be their best primary on-ball creator by far. Zach LaVine, his spacing, his ability to get downhill, his ability to run the pick and roll, all that stuff would be very good. Now, they would be smaller because Peyton Watson or Christian would then be slotted to the 3, and so they would have to figure all that stuff out, and maybe they give up Christian Brown in that deal depending on what the argument is. But that's what it is. It's Zach LaVine. It's Ayo Dosunmu. The big trade that some of my colleagues have suggested is, what if they trade something like Michael Porter Jr.? Let's see here. Michael Porter Jr. They trade Zeke Naji and one more player, maybe Julian Strawther. And in that deal, they end up getting back, let's say, Bogdanovich from Atlanta. They get back DeAndre Hunter, and then they get back Onyeka Okongwu. Is that something that Atlanta will be interested in doing? Now, the reason why I think Atlanta may be interested in something like that is because obviously Trae Young and Michael Porter Jr., they have a very close relationship. They have been friends for a number of years. They've been teammates since the AAU days. And also, too, Atlanta, if they were able to give Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, Zachary Ricochet, and then give them Michael Porter Jr. with Clint Capella, and then you also supplement that by getting like Christian Brown or Peyton Watson or Julian Strawther, and then you also then get like another young big on the bench and then a tradable player, like that might be an option. DeAndre Hunter, Bogdanovich, they're both worse players than Porter. They would get the best player in the trade. The Nuggets would then be able to slot in DeAndre Hunter as the starter. Bogey would come off the bench with Russ. You'd have 2 on-ball creators, 1 elite shooter with Russ. And then on top of that, Onyeka Okongwu, he would be a great backup 5 to have. He's really solid. That's a player you can have in your system for a couple of years, number of years, and that you can build up. Like all that. Like there's an option. There's an option for that, obviously. And then I think there's a trade if you want to look at the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know Cameron Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith. The Nets are looking to get real assets back. They want to continue to stash and develop for the future. So maybe that's do you looking at getting involved on? But I don't know if that the Brooklyn Nets would do something like that. I think Chicago. I think that the Atlanta trade, and I think again, like the Miami trade, are probably going to be some of your best options that you could be looking into. And again, especially for a player as specific as Michael Porter Jr. That's what you have to continue to deal with. And again, I'm trying to ground people in reality. And so people are saying, Porter, no way. We love Porter. We love Porter. We love Porter. Everyone loves Porter. Porter is a Nugget. Porter was drafted in 2018. But again, the question that you have to answer is, if you're getting an all-time great season from Nikola Jokic, do you have time in its age 29 season to sit on your hands and hope? You do not get players like this in your house except but for a mist of time. And then they're gone. And then you're right back to where you were before that player existed in your program. So that's what they have to make a decision about. So I'm of the mindset that they need to continue to try to do what they can to improve. They need to continue to work in-house to build the team like they need to. I do think that, the Nuggets are in a situation now where and I think they're actually better than their record. Jokic missing the 1 game versus the Pelicans, injured, the Memphis Grizzlies injured. And then on top of that, the Wizards lost, y'all. I mean, they're 3 games away from being 15-7, which everybody would have a different outlook, because those are losing teams. Ja wasn't there. Those are losing teams. So those situations by themselves, the Nuggets win those games like they should have. they're 15-7, and now the whole season being discussed differently, even if we think their ceiling might be a little bit lower than we thought so far. But that's just the scenario. They've lost those games. Now they're 12-10. But the Nuggets have to do anything they can to try to maximize this Nikola Jokic window. Y'all, let me know what y'all think in the comment section, y'all. Who do you think the Nuggets should target? Do you think the Nuggets should be willing to move off of any of these players that they have in-house, that they have on the roster? Should there be a player that they target more than others? How do you feel about Jimmy Butler, about Zach LaVine, about Bogey, DeAndre Hunter, Onyeka Okongwu, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith? Is there another trade that you're interested in for the Denver Nuggets? Y'all, this is Swiper. This is Locked On Nuggets. Shout out Matt Moore. Shout out Ryan Blackburn. Y'all know what time it is. See y'all on the other side.